The air south of the city was wrong. Cicadas screeched like sirens, sound weaponized against anything foolish enough to listen. Magic behaved poorly here, not erratically, lazily, spells dampened. Whether from humidity or inebriation was unclear. They arrived late, incomplete, trailing excess intent like syrup from a spoon. The humidity did more than dampen spells. It distorted the act of looking. In New Orleans, you do not see things as they are. You see them as they wish to be seen. The swamps carried the mire and all the putrid life the Mississippi had failed to drown. Water lay everywhere, motionless yet busy, reflecting nothing accurately. Trees leaned inward. Moss dripped from their branches as if drawing the life force and growing heavier with it. The insects were obscene in number and oddly selective in their attention, drawn less to blood than to warmth. I adjusted my coat and immediately regretted it. Wool had no place here, neither did I. The colony loomed ahead. No gates, no wards worth mentioning, no defensive posturing. Only a gradual realization that the thing standing still had been watching me for some time. Vampires, when they are old, they conserve effort. Existence had become habit rather than ambition. This was one of the last true colonies, a convergence point. Old world blood and new world hunger, coexisting not out of harmony but out of mutual convenience. A place where turning was not scandal, but commerce. I had been commissioned, against my better judgment, to design a reversal. A cure, some may call it, as if the word meant anything. I expected a relic. A century-drunk immortal exhausted by eternity, someone nostalgic for pain, someone bored enough to mistake death for novelty. Instead, I was brought to a parlor that smelled faintly of smoke, polished wood, and something floral that had no business surviving this climate. She was waiting. She stood when I entered. The first thing I noted was symmetry. Excessive, precise, features perfectly balanced. The sort of face that made the eye slide uselessly across it, unable to find purchase. Every line seemed corrected. Every flaw forgiven and overwritten. A masterpiece of feminine form. She was dressed simply, intentionally so. Pale skin, gold hair pinned back with almost punitive neatness, lips that did not need color and therefore wore none. A living icon, polished, empty. I felt irritation bloom immediately. This, then, was my assignment. You are not what I was led to expect. Her smile flickered. A reflex. It vanished as soon as it appeared.
Disappointments make you open your eyes and close your heart.
Her voice was human. She did not camouflage it with theatrical purr or predatory affectation. Just tired, but carefully arranged. She donned a perfect smile of politeness that could easily be confused for interest. I removed my gloves slowly. I wanted her to understand that I did not rush for beautiful things. They tell me you requested a reversal. Be specific. She hesitated, just long enough to betray that she had rehearsed and discarded several versions of the truth.
Beneath the makeup and behind the smile, I am just a girl who wishes for the world.
Vague, typical. You are immortal, unaging, structurally perfected. Your sensory range exceeds human norms. Your injuries regenerate. You are desired wherever you go. You are powerful in every currency your kind values. What else would a woman expect of the world? Her eyes did not leave mine.
I want to be plain.
The word sat between us, small and defiant.
I want to be invisible. I want to look in the mirror and see a person, not a thing men want to devour.
I allowed for a pause to linger. You wish to trade immortality and symmetry for the privilege of being overlooked, of rotting, of aging poorly, of being dismissed in a crowded room.
Yes,
Most would kill for your curse. She smiled again. This time it held.
most are already dead, Professor. They just haven't stopped breathing yet. I'm a doll in a glass case. I want to be a weed in the dirt.
You sit in a house carved from the labor of the dead, wearing a face poets have ruined themselves trying to describe, and you ask me to play the vandal. You speak of invisibility as if it were a sanctuary. Invisibility is for the weak, miss. Whatever your name was before you decided to become a monument. To be invisible is to be forgotten, to be stepped upon. I have spent my life. Here you are, throwing a tantrum because your cage is made of gold instead of iron.
I'm selfish, impatient, and a little insecure. I make mistakes.
I didn't respond. I busied myself by taking an inventory of my travel bag, the items necessary in order to perform the ritual she was desperate for.
I always felt I was a nobody. The only way to be somebody was to be somebody else.
She stepped closer.
That's what he promised. And the moment the fangs came in, Clara died. This image, whatever it is, took her place. I don't want to be pretty, Professor. I want to be real.
This was not vanity. It was hunger, the kind that does not end. The ritual is not a cleansing. It is a dismantling. It will hurt. It will feel as though your soul is being pulled through a keyhole.
Imperfection is beauty.
I did not answer her quotation. I turned my attention to the logic she had carefully avoided. Surely, the one who made you gave warning. She stilled, not the theatrical freeze of surprise, the quieter kind, the kind that comes when a question lands somewhere it was never meant to reach. You were not turned by accident. This was not a panicked bite in an alley or a drunken lapse of restraint. You requested and someone indulged. Someone chose you. Someone prepared you. My gaze did not leave her face. Surely he explained the cost. And then from the far side of the room someone laughed, softly, amused, entirely unbothered.
Oh, don't look at her like that. You'll make her think she's disappointed you.
He had not been there a moment before, or perhaps he had. With creatures like this, the distinction rarely mattered. He leaned against the door frame as though it belonged to him. as though the house had been built around his boredom. Dark hair, touched only faintly by silver. Skin unmarked by time, not because it resisted age, but because age had long since given up trying. His eyes moved over me with polite interest.
You must be the wizard.
He stepped fully into the light. Old world. Born, not made. That much was obvious. The kind whose blood remembered feasts that had names and solstices held in their honor. A creature whose hunger had once been ritualized rather than apologized for.
I am called many things, but sire will do, I suppose. It seems to be the word she prefers when she's angry.
Clara did not look at him. I folded my hands behind my back. You failed to warn her. It is ancient law amongst vampires to educate first. He considered this, then shrugged.
I warned her. I gave her precisely what she requested most. It was the easiest promise I ever made. The magic didn't have to lift a finger.
That is not warning.
Oh, I disagree. I told her she would never age, that pain would fade, that hunger would sharpen, her reflection would disappear.
He smiled faintly.
I told her the truth as I understood it.
I turned to her. Did he tell you, I asked, that you would be preserved like an artifact, that your face would become a public property, that desire once revolving becomes a constant? She swallowed.
He told me reflections would fade.
The sire shrugged, unoffended.
And it did. Marvelous, isn't it? The durability of beauty.
You have had others. She is not the first you have created.
Dozens. Plagues, revolutions, a war that burned half a continent. Faces blur after the 3rd century.
And when they tired of eternity, he tilted his head.
They left. They slept. They forgot.
The smile returned, easy and untroubled.
Time is a river, Professor. Some learn to swim, some grow bored of the view.
Clara looked at him then.
You made me a promise.
And I granted your wishes. My dear, you had an audience long before I found you.
I did not dignify the sentiment. Vampires are prone to dramatic vocabulary when confronted with consequence. For a fraction of a second, something shifted behind his eyes. I had seen that look before, in men who had built empires, in men who had destroyed them. The expression of someone who had mistaken permanence for purpose. And I suspected, though he would never confess it, that she had bored him less than the others. I watched her carefully. She did not rage. She did not weep. She simply nodded. The sire turned back to me, interest sharpening.
So, are you here to undo my work?
Perhaps. First I must determine whether it should be undone at all. He laughed again, delighted.
Oh, this is going to be an excellent evening. Most fun I've had in decades.
I did not respond to the sire's laughter. Moral arguments are for those who believe they can still change the outcome. Instead, I turned slightly, angling my body away from Clara and toward the architecture of the room. An old habit. When sentiment threatened to contaminate a problem, I put my back to it. This is not a trial. I am not interested in culpability.
Oh, how disappointingly modern of you.
The sire arched a brow. I am interested in process. Clara inhaled sharply as if to speak. I raised a hand, not unkindly, decisively. If I am to dismantle what has been done, I must understand how it was constructed, not in theory, in practice. I turned my gaze to the sire. You chose her. Why? He smiled at once, amused.
At last, a serious question. She was lonely, but not stupid. Desperate, but still proud. Those are the ones who survive the change without fracturing immediately.
You did not answer the question.
No, I answered the interesting part. She was beautiful already. Not in the same way mortals notice, in the way predators do. I simply got there first.
Clara's jaw tightened, but she did not interrupt. And you offered her. What exactly?
I offered her the thing she wanted most.
I nodded once. That is not the same thing.
Rarely is.
I turned away from him and back to Clara. Describe the turning. Her eyes flicked to the sire. He gestured languidly.
Please, I've told the story enough times. It'll be interesting to hear from the perspective of a youngling.
There was music. Piano. Smoke. People pressed close enough that you couldn't tell where one body ended and another began. He watched me for 3 nights before he spoke to me.
The sire inclined his head, approving. Consent was obtained, I noted.
Yes. I said yes.
Before or after blood was introduced, the sire's smile sharpened.
Before. The one thing I hate more than anything else is being used.
I am more interested in sequence. She swallowed.
He asked me what I wanted. He promised me I would never have to see myself again. No more mirrors. No more checking the glass to see if I had finally become enough. That I could just be.
The room seemed to tighten around us. And you told her what that would cost.
I told her it would last forever.
And when the transformation completed,
The mirror went dark. thought it was broken.
All fledglings do.
I remember standing there, waiting for something to appear. It didn't. It was the first quiet I'd ever known.
The sire's interest visibly sharpened.
You're not here to undo a monster.
I met his gaze evenly. Correct. I am here to dismantle a method.
I like you. You're very honest.
I did not correct him. Since the change was built on a foundation of omission, we do not need to kill the vampire. We only need to kill the magic of the promise. Miss Clara, you asked to be a weed in the dirt. Into this bowl, I require 3 things. First, the gift he gave you, a single drop of your blood, the preserved perfect liquid that keeps you a statue. Second, a memory of the girl who you once were, the girl who wanted to be felt and not seen, the girl who was cold. Give me the sensation of the damp. And third, I require the architect's admission. You must name the flaw you hid from her, the omission to your promise, not the cost, the flaw.
You are asking me to vandalize my own masterpiece.
I am asking you to finish the story.
I gave her the mercy of the ghost. I erased her from the silver so she could haunt herself in peace. The magic took her shadow, but it left the girl behind it entirely intact.
The sire's admission hung in the air like smoke. It was the crack in the foundation. Now I only had to widen it. River silt, taken from the bend where the water is slowest, where things settle to rot. Miss Clara, step forward, look into the bowl. Do not look at him, look at the mud. I am going to apply the truth. It will not be beautiful. When the vapor settled and the house became still again, I looked for the seams. I looked for the telltale shimmer of a glamour or the structural rigidity of a transfiguration. There were none. The magic I dismantled was hunger, immortality, predatory grace. Her face remained perfect. It was the only thing that had ever been real. It is finished.
The heat in my blood is returning. The weight in my chest, it's beating. Professor, is it gone? Tell me it's gone. Tell me I'm plain. Hand me a mirror.
Look for yourself. She hesitated. For a moment, something like dread passed across her face.
Will it be there?
It will.
It's the same. You didn't do it. I'm still this thing.
I did exactly what you asked. The gift is gone. Your blood is warm. Your heart is beating.
Then why do I still look like this?
He took your reflection away so you could finally exist without the burden of your own gaze. He thought the silence of the glass would be enough to make you happy. He was wrong. The ultimate absurdity. She did not want transformation, she wanted anesthesia. For the world to look upon her the way she looked at herself. The sire was true to his promise. He removed her reflection in the mirror, but never the gaze of the world.
He never had the ability to change my face.
No. The heartbeat continued, steady and unremarkable, filling the room with proof no one had asked for. Mortality, it turned out, was not loud. Clara stared at her reflection as though waiting for it to betray itself. It did not. The face remained. Human now. Fallible. Temporary. And still unbearable to her. I could have altered her sight. I could have dulled the part of her that demanded flaw as proof of worth. It would have been simple, efficient, reversible only in theory. I did not offer it. To do so would have been to replace one architect with another. The sire watched us both with renewed interest, not because something had ended, but because something had refused to.
How disappointing. I thought wizards were more decisive.
On the contrary, I have decided. Clara did not look away from the mirror. Not because she loved what she saw, but because she did not know how to look away.
Most of them miss the mirror more than they admit. For what it's worth, mortality is far more interesting from the outside.
He smiled again, but it did not reach his eyes.
I do hope she survives it.
I gathered my things, the bowl, the handkerchief, the fragments of a ritual that had worked exactly as designed. Nothing here required my supervision any longer. When I reached the door, I paused. You are mortal now. That is not nothing. She did not answer, nor did I wait for her to. Outside, the swamp breathed, indifferent, eternal. It had seen gods rot and monsters starve. I sealed my wand and began the walk back toward a place that asked less of the face and more of the mind. Some prisons survive every escape attempt, and some cures administered correctly reveal only that there was never anything wrong with the flesh at all.